Think about your life for a moment. Is it just a triangle? Home, school, religious center, and repeat. Safe and predictable. But what if I told you that this same loop that seeks to protect you can also trap you? My name is Jeremiah, and welcome to Teens and Twenties. Alright, so welcome to today's episode of Teens and Twenties, and I'll be talking about the triangle life. So let's start. What is a triangle life? A triangle life is a routine that revolves around the church, the home, and school, and is often repeated over and over again. This loop seeks to give a young person a well-rounded structure, protection, and a predictable future. This triangle life is not bad. In fact, it's one of the best ways for protection, for guidance, and it shapes values in a young person. But the real question I want to ask today is, what are you doing with your triangle? What are you doing with your life, or with the loop that you are literally living? Going from home to school to religious center, are you actually working within that circle, or are you using that circle to actually ask deeper questions or get deeper understanding about life? Let me tell you something, that the triangular life gives you foundation. Number one, home teaches you identity. It teaches you to honor your roots and your values. School stretches your intellect and discipline, and while your religious center shapes your faith and morality. So you see that these three triangles are actually very good. And the truth thing is that if you take away this triangle, we are losing balance, and that is what is happening to many countries of the world. Their young person have actually lost these triangles. The home is not actually forming the identity, the root, and the value anymore. The schools are actually not teaching structured and important disciplines and intellect, while many religious centers have drifted from faith and morality to human worship and all of it. But the truth is, these triangles are actually very important. But the real question is, if you stay within it, without curiosity, without innovation, you will really never maximize your potential. So moving on, let's challenge the triangle. What if you start asking better questions within the triangle? What if you start asking questions about what is happening outside the triangle? I understand that your religious centers taught you to keep your faith and your morality. But what if you ask better questions about your faith? What if you ask better questions about the morality? Because most people's mistakes is that they just hold on laws and tight restrictions without understanding what the restriction is all about. Many people, they've told you that if you touch a boy, you get pregnant. But now you're in school, you've touched a boy, but you are not pregnant. You begin to challenge the question and say, okay, what if my parents were lying? What if they were not telling me the truth? So I have touched the boy and nothing happened to me. So what is actually happening? Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So the question is, what if at home it is not just about dinner? What if what home is all about is asking better questions of how can I build a better home from what I am experiencing? How can I build a future that is stronger than what my father and mother is actually doing? Ask better questions. Your parents are having issues, they are fighting always. Your question is not to stay within that circle. Your question is to ask better questions. How can I make this better? How can I not repeat the mistakes of my parents? How can I make the life of my parents even much better, as much as I make my life better? So what if your school is not just doing assignment, passing your exams? What if school is about knowledge that solve real life questions? Because many of us have graduated from school. We have the first class, we have the second class upper, we even have the third class. But when we get outside, we discover that the dy dx, the calculus, the questions and the narratives that were taught in schools are not applicable in real life. Are you getting me? So, and what of the place of worship? What if it's not just about a program today, a praise night tomorrow, a gathering today? What if it's all about how can I live out this faith in my generation's language? Many churches and many mosques just give strict rules and say, don't say guy, don't wear this, don't put this on yourself, don't do this. Giving rules and laws without teaching the younger people on how to live a right life within the generation they find themselves. Because some language of the past generations are what older people are passing down and not understanding that the world and generation has shifted and the language of the new generation has changed. And what we need to teach them is how to live within a generation, but live aright within a generation. So we need to ask better questions about our triangles. So, and the third one is, how can you live beyond the triangle? How can you actually excel without losing your values? How can you excel without losing your intellect and morality? Don't stop at asking questions inside. Go beyond the triangles. Step outside the triangles, learn new skills, not just assignments. Go beyond your classroom and learn what the classroom does not teach you. Not like in Nigeria where the lecturers teaches with 10 years ago and 5 years ago materials. Photocopy the photocopied, and you keep photocopying every photocopy, and you are being taught with 5 years ago rules, 5 years ago manuals, and many other things like that. Why don't you seek to build relationship, learn honor, learn respect, learn how to check on people? These are things that are not taught within the four-wall schools, but are very important to live an excelling life. Examples of things you can do beyond the triangles is volunteer, travel, experiment, fail and learn. This triangle seeks to protect us from failing, from falling, and many other things. But what if your own excelling is in the experience of failing? You learn, relearn, and unlearn. Many things we were taught that needs to be removed, and many things we need to add to ourselves to even get better. Ask yourself that question: how can I go beyond my triangle without losing my morality? How can I go beyond my triangle without keeping my intellect and my life really impact and balanced? The triangle is good, but if you are not careful, your triangle will trap you. When will you challenge the triangle and expand beyond it to create a life that is balanced, rich, and revolutionary? So here's my challenge to you. Don't get it twisted. I am not saying you should disrespect the triangle. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say that you should strengthen the triangle by not keeping yourself within it, by going beyond it, seeing what the triangle, asking better questions. Don't just reject the triangles. I want you to strengthen it. Don't stay trapped within it either. Expand it. Expand the triangle. You get? So the triangle is your starting point, but not your destination. If you dare to ask deeper questions, if you dare to stretch further, you will discover that there is a life beyond and bigger than you can even imagine. So all I want you to understand today is that the triangle that you see yourself, why don't you expand it a little? Why don't you ask bigger questions? Why don't you ask better questions? What if home is not about coming together, do the normal thing, live right in front of your parent? What if home can be, I see my parents, but I want to live better than them? I see the way they behave, but what if the way they behave is not the right way? What if the way they behave, what if? So ask better questions. What if I can make my life better? What if I can make my family better beyond these rules that have been taught? Ask yourself about school. What if school is not just about assignments? What school is not about examination? What if school is just to expand my mind and me to take risk, fail, and learn better? Because it is he who do not fear that will not understand what life is all about. What if my religious center is not about programs, praise night, and vigils? What if my religious center is to teach me how to live right within a perverse generation? Ask yourself better questions. So this is the end of today's episode of Teens and Twenties. My name is Jeremiah, and please, if you've not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please, I want you to click the subscribe button, like this video, and ensure that you share it with a friend. See you in the next episode. My name is Jeremiah. Bye.